I want you to rest a little today, Kelly, so I'm going to beg people to come down to our audience for tickets. It's 818-846-5364. Did I say it slow enough, Mom?
Ruth has got to have it done slowly. All right, joining us now is a psychologist who has studied and written about workaholism. That is our topic today, Married to a Workaholic. His latest book is called Healing Life's Hidden Addictions, in which he addresses workaholism. Please welcome the Dean of the Graduate School of Psychology at Fuller Theological Seminary in Pasadena, Dr. Archibald Hart. Thank you for joining us, and of course the big question, and we're going to decide whether Mr. Travelena is indeed a workaholic, and Gail and I and Lois as well, is what is the difference between a workaholic and a work enthusiast who just is a hard worker?
Well, first of all, it is not the amount of work you do. It is the motive behind the work, the reason you work. What is it you're running away from? Because for the true workaholic, I think that it's a form of emotional anesthesia. You're running away from something. You're involving yourself in work intensely in order to escape the realities of life. And
now, is there a difference in salary between a workaholic and a work enthusiast?
No, but the true workaholic doesn't care about the salary.
Really?
The true workaholic is not concerned about how much...
The gambling addict doesn't care about the winning?
No. It is the experience, it's the process, it's the excitement. A work junkie, an alcoholic, is an adrenaline junkie, just wants the high, wants the... If you get paid or not, it makes no difference.
No, so the average person has adrenaline when you're in the fight or flight syndrome,
yes.
Right?
Yes.
And when does a workaholic have adrenaline?
In the work experience. And that's the problem with the workaholic. That's why they cannot let it go. They've got to be intensely preoccupied with, caught up in the work, because that keeps the adrenaline going. It is literally an adrenaline junkie. That's one form of workaholism. The other form is the workaholic who is running away from anxiety, from pain.
From a bad marriage.
From a bad marriage, and so forth.
And a workaholic, a true workaholic, really cannot cannot really be content on vacation.
Forced idleness is worse than hell for the true workaholic.
So you talked about workaholism in the classic sense being an addiction. And the addiction, you say, is to adrenaline.
Well, that's one form of workaholism. For the other person, the addiction arises out of the avoidance of feelings, the emotional anesthesia, the dulling of their pain.
So, how do we stop? I want to know, like, okay, you've decided now that you're a workaholic, and it's day one, and I'm not going to do it anymore. What's the first thing you would tell yourself? Or what's the first thing you would do?
You've got to start dealing with your denial, because as with all addictions, in these hidden addictions, the workaholism addiction, that you cannot see the addictive mechanism. You don't want to face up to the reality. So as with all addictions, you begin by confronting your denial.
To yourself, because there are no groups that, that get together and say, I'm a workaholic.
They don't have time, they have to work.
No, there are no 12-step groups of workaholics yet.
Dr. Hart, is Fred Travelena a workaholic in the classic sense, do you think?
I don't know yet.
Why don't you find out?
I need to ask him a few more questions, you see.
I'm working on your voice while you're working on yours. I don't know yet. I've got to ask him a few more questions.
If your work totally preoccupies you, if you can think of nothing else, if nothing else matters in life but what you do, then you're a workaholic.
Look, Lois wants to know the answer to this question.
I would have to say that that is not the true of me. I think about my family first and foremost, and trying to make all of that work, which keeps me busy all the time. And I've found also at this point in my career, I do an awful lot of this, which was never in my character.
Sounds like denial to me. What do you think?
But
denial is a
if you make your family work as well, do you know what I mean? You always work. Is that a form of workaholism?
No, that's not. No, the true workaholic is only preoccupied with him or herself.
I think you're
doing
okay,
it for
Fred.
myself.
Now, for the classic workaholic, how dangerous? What are the dangers?
The primary danger, I think, is stress disease.
And those are?
Well, cardiovascular disease, gastrointestinal disease, headaches, psychological pain. So stress disease is the most serious consequence. But there's also social disease. And the true addict is physically, psychologically, and socially being destructive. If it is not producing destruction of some sort, it's not an addiction.
Okay, so we admit the addiction, and then step 2 is how do we
You
stop?
begin to make important choices,
Like what?
such as priorities in your life. You see, ultimately what you're trying to achieve is balance. The true work enthusiast works hard, may even work longer hours than the workaholic,
And
but he's
he's
living
okay.
a balanced life.
Yeah.
Living a balanced life. There is a balance
So you
between.
need like a pen and a paper.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have to say that with Fred, especially since this past summer, with the loss of his family, his mother and father this year, I have found him delving more into work to avoid the pain, I think. And we all tend to do that when there's such a tragedy. But he will not stop, constantly thinking of calling, telephone calls. He's the one that gets up at 5 or 6 o'clock in the morning to call back ease. And,
It's cheaper.
yeah, right. And his mind is constantly always going, whether it's being funny or writing a new funny line or whether it's getting work. The interesting thing is when he said he doesn't have agents and managers, he has to do it all himself.
Lois, what changes would you like to see him make? If
I'd like
any?
to see him get an agent or a manager.
We'll be getting calls today.
I think the stress would be less, and it puts a lot of burden on me too because of the phone. I work in the office as like the administrator, and trying to keep everything rolling. But
And she does.
he needs that stress taken off of him. If that were taken off of him, I think he would be able to spend more time with the children in a productive way. Now, when he's with the kids, like we said, we have the office in the house. Therefore, when he's home all the time. When he's not home, that's when I take the breath, and the children, and the children take a breath because there's more calm in the house, and more things are done productively, not so much in a hurry or in a rush.
Frenetic,
But,
yeah.
but
Right,
Lois, can
frantically.
he relax? Can
No.
he
Never.
take time off?
Oh,
Just
we've got to
go
address
sit
that
and
one.
do nothing?
Okay, audience, think of questions to ask of all these three people because we have to figure out, is he a workaholic or just a hard worker, huh? Audience, your turn next. We're talking about workaholism on two fronts. Are you a workaholic, and are you married to a workaholic? And if so, can you cope? We have Erin here from Los Angeles. Your question.
My question is directed to the doctor. If you're married to a workaholic, how do you prevent your spouse from bringing work on a vacation?
Ooh.
You carefully inspect all the luggage and toss out anything you find that looks like work. And I think it's an absolute essential rule that no work go on vacation with you. Absolutely not.
Fred,
Refuse to go on
guilty.
vacation if necessary.
Guilty.
He goes on cruises.
Terrible.
And will call the office out in the middle of the ocean. We went to Hawaii this
This
year.
is not easy calling from the ocean.
No, but he manages. We were in
not
Hawaii for 10 days, and every morning the children knew from 8 o'clock in the morning until noon, he was on the phone. And
Whoa.
then we went to the beach.
See, Dr. Hart, this brings up an important point. Some other tips, please, on
Yes.
how a spouse should cope with being married to a workaholic.
A couple of absolutely essential rules. Rule number one, don't nag. Many workaholics are running away from a home situation where nag, you know, always coming down, always complaining about. So rule
Is
number
that you,
one,
Lois?
don't nag.
Well, I was going to say, now you tell me.
No, it's a
Is
little
that
late.
you, Lois? Do you nag? Okay, enough said. What else, Dr. Hart? What else for coping?
I think that the spouse who can take on the role of a therapist, I encourage spouses to learn some very basic therapeutic skills. How to listen to feelings, how to encourage the spouse to talk about what is going on. You need to know why your spouse works as hard as he or she does. There's a reason they're building their self-esteem, trying to recapture the valuing of a lost a past parent or playing to an audience or whatever, and to be able to get them to talk about their feelings and their motives and their values, I think is important if you're going to cure
Lois
a
got
spouse.
another job. She now has to be a therapist.
Really?
In addition to everything else.
Boy,
yes.
besides being a mother and a chauffeur and a wife and his administrator and his agent, his manager, here's Yolanda.
My question is directed to the doctor also. I was wondering if a person works 7 days a week, are they considered a workaholic?
I think
also?
7 days a week is absolutely workaholism. Because it is just ridiculous to be working that long. It's destructive in the long term because it means that your body never gets an opportunity to rest.
And you'll die, right? I mean,
you
we're
will
not,
die.
We're not
You
kidding
will,
around.
No, this is serious business. And these people don't change until they have their first heart attack. I wish I could prescribe a mild heart attack for every workaholic.
Wow, you know,
because that would force them to confront
Well, I
their
guess
values.
so. And here's Catherine from New York to address just exactly that issue. Catherine?
Yes, hi, doctor. This is concerning someone whose health is being affected
Yes.
by workaholism.
Who
would
is it, Catherine?
It's my sister. Why would someone continue to work like that?
Because they're doing it for other reasons. You see, ask the same question. Why does the person continue to drink who's an alcoholic? They're doing, it's out of control. That's why it's an addiction. You lose control, it's destructive in the long term, and then it is the avoidance of your feelings, the reality of life that lies behind it.
This is Catherine's sister. I wonder, is this more prevalent, workaholism, in men than women?
I see it more in men than women, but Kelly, it's changing. And in today's climate, more and more women are seeking to fulfill themselves, to restore their sense of self-esteem through some accomplishment. So it's on the increase with women.
All right. Married to a workaholic or being one. We'll be right back.
To be a part of the Kelly and Gail audience, call 818-846-5364 for free tickets.
Well, we have had some great answers to the issue of the distinguishing between workaholism and whether you're just a hard worker. You know, to be a classic workaholic, you've got to be out of control. You can't stand playing. You've got to work. You've got to use it as an escape from everything else in your life, and it has to be destructive. See, I'm not a workaholic. You're
Wait
not
a minute.
either.
It's a good thing you're not, because there are side effects, and the doctor mentioned.
Oh,
I mean,
sure.
you know, I mean,
Physical
heart
dangers.
attacks, but I bet there's something you don't know.
What?
More women are getting into it, which means that more women are having heart attacks
I know.
and going bald.
What? Bald?
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry.
She's not gonna
Heart
work
attacks,
anymore.
I understand.
We've got
Going
her.
bald, I'm quitting all my jobs. There's no question about that. Woo. Okay. Workaholism. Now, tomorrow we have a great show. We have Dr. Tony Grant,
good.
and the topic is when you can't stand your best friend's mate. Ooh,
What?
a juicy one.
You telling me something?
No,
Not yet, okay.
I love Michael.
Michael
I've loved-
Moses, MD.
I have loved all your husbands, as a matter of fact, at least for as long as you did. See you tomorrow. Have a great, great day.
Kelly and Gail's wardrobes furnished by Carol Little. Transportation and protective services furnished by the Entertainment and Special Services Unit of West Coast Detectives. Hotel accommodations for guests of Kelly and Gail are furnished by the Universal City Hilton and Towers, Universal City.